The VELAR is the highly anticipated belt-driven mountain board from ONSRA. In this video I will go over everything you need to know in 5 minutes. Let's go. Here's the spec sheet for the VELAR. Let's just go over some of the notable ones. A range of up to 37 miles with the off-road tires. The battery is a 1000 watt-hour 14S setup using Samsung 50S cells. There's a top speed of up to 43 miles per hour. The trucks are these channel trucks that ONSRA did a wonderful job designing. Very wide, coming in at 16.9 inches. Big 200mm pneumatic off-road tires, and a very large carbon fiber deck. Speaking of, the deck feels big and is big. At its widest point, it's a little over 11 inches, and the center is at 9.75 inches when I measured. It's a camber design that's pretty stiff overall, not much flex. Still trying to figure out where exactly I like to have my feet because of the camber. The VELAR also has different holes to use for the bushings to change the car factor. The board comes stock with the front bushings on the inside and the rear on the outside. You can also change the deck height for using different wheels. While the board is pretty heavy at 40 pounds, it can still be carried fairly well thanks to the sleek design. It can be pulled from the front since the motor guards don't drag, and the rear motor guard is wide enough that it doubles as a handle, making it preferable to pull from the rear. On pavement, the board rides great. It's taking me a while to get used to carving because it's an entirely different feeling with the channel trucks compared to traditional Kingpin. Since the tires are so big, you can just roll over bumps and gaps that would give smaller wheels a stronger reaction. Really like that I can roll over anything. Turn radius is also very sharp thanks to these channel trucks. With 8-inch knobby tires, it does great off-road. There's plenty of power for it. Terrain like soft, loose soil is still going to be a problem, but you can do pretty good on everything else. I would advise avoiding long, fresh-cut grass, since I did end up getting the drive gear jammed with grass debris. Once again, because of the channel trucks, I can make these turns on this mountain bike trail as opposed to other truck types. The remote is the ONSRA NX, an ambidextrous remote which they also use for their other models. It has a nice large color screen to see speed and speed modes while riding. Thankfully, they display the battery in 5% increments instead of just 5 bars. There's 4 different speed modes: Eco, Cruise, Sport, and Brutale. In the menus, you can adjust the acceleration and braking for each mode. Is it fast? Yes, it's scary fast. The first 3 speed modes feel pretty mild in their default setup, but in Brutale mode, you feel its unrestricted power. In those high 30s, I haven't had any speed wobbles with the bushings in their default positions. Surprisingly, it feels very stable. It should be noted that in Brutale, decelerating at those high speeds needs to be done carefully rather than just letting go of the throttle to avoid getting thrown off. The range I'm getting seems to be about 28 miles with these tires. I'm roughly 170 pounds and the temperature has been in the 80s and 90s. The charge time seems to take about 5 hours, and that's usually when I'm charging from 20% battery. There's pretty good audible motor sounds, definitely not a quiet machine. So the colors of this board. It's 100% black. Pre-production had some red bushings and different screw colors, but I believe ONSRA decided to go full black in the end. So it's the Batmobile of e-skate. Very good design style overall. Battery enclosure especially is very sleek underneath and looks better compared to a battery box on top like other electric mountain boards. This is by far the best feature of the board. A few drawbacks. The grip foam on top can peel back easily. This is something Fabi addressed already in an earlier video, but something to be aware of as this might peel back with use. The other thing I noticed is that the range of the remote of the board seems very short. Feels like 10 feet max. My Hobbywing remote boards have 3 times that of remote range. Another thing to note is that no lights of any kind are present. Not a big deal for me, but lights are becoming more of a standard feature on today's boards. I am pretty impressed so far with the VELAR, and it does feel like you are buying a premium-made product. As always, I will try to do a follow-up with more time and mileage on the board. It seems like a winner though, and the fun factor is high. Great job, ONSRA.